So for a while now, I've been wanting to go through every single expansion and rate it as if, it's just the expansion itself, as if that's the game. I think it's best to just go through with my own experience, deep dive into each various cycle of World of Warcraft, and give it an honest rating on how I feel about it. So I asked my community if they wanted just one mega video for all of them, or split it up into parts. And a lot of people want multiple parts, not just one big video. So for this one, we are going to be starting with Vanilla WoW. Vanilla, Classic, Original, or just simply World of Warcraft between the years of 2004 and 2006. Many people have opinions, both good and bad, of this era of the massively popular game. For many years, people have been feeling down from the current iteration of the game, from poor decisions that Blizzard has made, both in and outside of the game. They remembered the days of old, where they had fun, while others said it wasn't fun, it sucked, and it's all rose-tinted goggles. Eventually, people started to seek out alternative methods to both relive that time period they craved, as well as to see if it was rose-tinted glasses, or were they actually right. My own experience was like this, far before the days of Classic WoW, back in 2016. With WoD nearing its end, I sought out one of these fan-hosted servers. From having little knowledge and a limited YouTube videos and such on this topic, my search yielded that the best choice between the Blizz-like vanilla servers at the time were Nostalrius and Chronos, now known as Chronos 1. Of course, I went with Chronos as I had limited information, so I didn't know which one was better or not. Even then, my experience of seeing that login screen for the first time in many years, oh my god, yes, I will admit, the nostalgia rushed over me. I made the exact same character I did back in 2005, and I explored. Since then, we all know what happened with Nostalrius, from where other servers like Elysium, Lightshope, Northdale, and even the original Turtle WoW, and eventually World of Warcraft Classic all came out. I had played all of these servers, from the fan-hosted ones to even the Blizzard-endorsed Classic WoW, so I have around 8 years experience on this topic, including my own original time playing it back in 2005 and beyond. I wish to use this knowledge to go through and review this variation of the game from the view of a standalone game. I will be going through all of the many things that make it like an MMORPG, as well as things that I don't like about Vanilla WoW, with an overall rating at the end. Firstly, the world design. As the next iteration of the Warcraft franchise, you've only known the world as a small segmented maps. Now you can go through the world without loading screens, without that fog of war, finding all of the landmarks from the first 3 games like Stonard, Blackrock Mountain, Lordaeron, Kalimdor, as well as all of the areas filled in between. For the first time this game came out, the world felt absolutely massive, and to a degree, it's still very impressive. I could explain why these areas of the map don't feel as large anymore in the current game, but let's stay to this version. I would say one thing personally that I don't like is that the various zones are all kind of boxed in with mountain ranges, all neat and snug away from other zones. Now, in this variation, it's not that bad as the view distance is low, which normally is a bad thing, but for here, it creates a fog of war, so you don't really see that far into the distance. It helps to create an illusion of a never-ending grassland while you're in Mulgore, for an example. From there are so many secrets to discover. While you play through the game, there is little to no linear progression for you to follow. You wander, you walk, you talk to people, you find the burned Shady Rest Inn and a random quest to find as you look at the shield on the wall and investigate it without anyone telling you to do it. Or you could find the dwarf who had fallen off the bridge between wetlands, and the game rewards you for going off of the beaten path and finding new adventures. As you explore, you are rewarded even more by going off the path to find not only quests, but rare creatures that award you with bonus experience, as well as the usual great items that are not usually found. The treasure chest system is also one that no longer exists in the modern game, at least in this variation. Though talking about that, this variation I believe is the most rewarding when you open a chest. While I'll talk about professions later, finding profession items felt amazing as you could use them, or if you couldn't, someone else could, and it led to trading between players, so chests felt very valuable, even if they were just food, cloth, leather, an iron bar, and maybe a green item. As for the lore of the game, there is no overall story as there was with Warcraft, but I feel that since you are your own character, you are not one of the main characters. I like the fact that there is no overall story. You get to choose your own adventure as you explore, find, and discover new plots, twists, and issues that you have to lend your aid to. I will say there is an issue of needing to complete almost every single zone in order to level up with the limited experience gain in vanilla. Later on, that wasn't an issue, and that meant you could level along paths that others didn't, and have your own personal story to tell. Even then, the minor stories told through the various zones, be it the main story of that zone themselves, or the side stories, you of course have the Defias, Scarlets, the Quillbore, the Centaur. So many that carried over into the higher levels. As an example, me being a Tauren player, I am led to Naxxramas from a narrative point because of the Quillbore I find and defeat at level 3. Think about it, you were introduced to an evil boar race who hates your guts. You go toe to toe with them several times as you grow and explore even out into the Barrens, where you find out they cause so much harm from their raids. Finally, you are strong enough to fight and take them on, rush Razorfriend Crawl, and at the end there you find their leader who says that they have a new ally, as told to you by herself. As you investigate through some smaller quests, you are led into Razorfriend Downs to find out they are allied with the Scourge. About that time you are the right level to start heading into the Plaguelands, and then finally to Stratholme and then Naxxramas. From a narrative perspective, it allows me, as a Tauren player, to feel like a hero without really being pushed into and forced upon a linear narrative design, as the modern game does today. And there are so many more stories like that too. As a human, you have the Defias, who is tied to your missing king, which also leads to Onyxia and her lair. The dungeons are tied into the story, but also into the world. They are all areas of interest for you and your friends to take on for the completion of a storyline within an area, but not always, as you may have one of those quests to finish in the dungeon, but your party member may not. Instead, they are there just to seek and delve in for profit, just like a D&D campaign would go at times. While many people don't tend to like the longer dungeons of vanilla WoW, I am the opposite. Firstly, I hate the way the dungeons are changed to be nothing more than timed romps for a single piece of gear that gets replaced within a day. In vanilla, dungeons were so much different. Yes, they were long, but they were not always meant to be completed all at the same time, which is why many of the longer dungeons have multiple entrances, have many wings that you can complete either one at a time, or if you wanted to do a full run, you could. But also, they were not meant to be ran more than a few times. I love that. You run the dungeon once, maybe twice, get a good hour or so inside, and then you move on and continue your adventure. Now, there are times you would want to return to the older dungeons for a variety of reasons, being resistance gear, trinkets, quests, and other reasons that I could find acceptable because you are going in with a reason. Even by the endgame, unless you are one of those people who want to run BRD Arena 60 times for that one chess piece, the level 60 dungeons you really only have to run a few times each to gain entry to raids, because most of them are tuned for level 55 players in blues to defeat. Granted, they are not dumb enough to stand and fire. There is no looking for raid, there is only entry raids, who prepare you for the stronger ones, moving up to Blackwing Lair, then eventually to Anchorage, and then finally to Naxxramas, which is not as forgiving to those who have not ran the previous raids. While you have some catch-up gear like from Zul'Gurub and AQ20, they didn't really harm the runs of the previous tiers. You still had to run Blackwing Lair to get tier 2, and then eventually to get tier 3 later on. When it comes to the professions, while I feel the leveling is a bit bloated and a bit slow, the professions I feel were way more important overall to the game than they are later on. From the start of the game, bandages, potions, that green armor with a +1 stamina. You felt the effects of these as you leveled, and you wanted to use them not only for yourself, but to also offer your services to those who had other skills and couldn't make certain things themselves. All the way to endgame, where your professions would aid you in the high-end content with various forms of food, enchantments, and even the combination of all of the professions working together across the server to make legendary weapons. The legendary weapons actually felt legendary. They are weapons you see on raid bosses. They have stories that you uncover in-game. They require the aid of the server or just a very large guild in order to create them with time, resources, and a bit of RNG. So only so many people will ever have them. When you see that tank with Thunder Fury, you see him as a god. Now lastly, the PvP. The PvP is both peaked as well as pretty bad in this iteration. For the good aspects, when you do play on a PvP realm, you have that added element of danger around the corner, forming groups to fight back against the Horde or Alliance. One of my favorite stories to tell was when I was playing on Northdale, and the Alliance camped out the Nesingwary camp in STV. The Horde couldn't take 2 steps into the Northern Stranglethorn before dying. It was so bad the Horde banded together. We formed around 2 or 3 raid groups of all level 30 to 40 players since the server had just launched, so there were very few level 50 or higher. We pushed back the Alliance that had camped out Nesingwary. We then camped it, and then from there we pushed them back into Duskwood. A warlock teleported us to Kargath, and we marched to Ironforge, where we used the tram to get into Stormwind because they were waiting for us at the front gate. We took over the Dwarf District and held the empty building which eventually became the bank. We sat there, killing them at a choke point of the building with AoEs for over an hour before we were finally whittled down. That was one of the best PvP moments of Vanilla WoW that I've ever had. You rarely get events like this now beyond Wrath of the Lich King. The battlegrounds are fun too. Fun little mini games to funnel your PvP gameplay, with the original pre-nerf AV being one of the best games I've ever played. And by pre-nerf, I'm talking about the version that first released before the 1.12 version, which many players know of today. The issue of the PvP comes in the form of the PvP ranking system. The system works off of the kills against other players, and compares it to the kills that everyone else has. So, to be the top PvPer with the best armor and titles, you need to play this game as if it was a full-time job, and if you slack for even a day, you will lose your ranking. I think this is one of the worst systems. If it was just a simple leaderboard for the fun of seeing who was the top dog, I don't see an issue. The issue is you can't get any of the rewards for the time you put in, unless you are that #1 player. And the eventual change of honor into points as a currency was a much better choice. So now that I've talked about the vanilla game, how does it all add up? Right here you will see a graph of the good things about vanilla, as well as the bad things. There is a ton of stuff here that worked for it as an RPG with MMO elements, with the only real issue being the PvP ranking system. I also put on the con side limitations, as it is still an older version of the game, so there's tons of spaghetti code, bugs, as well as jank from the gameplay itself. Though overall, I am going to rate Vanilla WoW a 4 out of 5. It is an amazing version of the game, but of course it's not perfect. It is just the perfect foundation for an everlasting world of possibilities, which is why you see so many Vanilla Plus servers. I hope you enjoyed this review of Vanilla WoW. I will next be reviewing TBC, so if you wish to see other expansions, make sure you like this video and subscribe for more content, as well as if you want to see more of my coverage of private servers. This video, as I mentioned in the beginning, I've taken from my experiences playing just many Blizz-like servers, as well as World of Warcraft Classic, and my own experience playing vanilla way back in the day. So a lot of it is fairly fresh in my mind, just from all the different servers and everything. TBC is going to be next. I did play Classic TBC. I also have played on a TBC private server, which is more Blizz-like, and I'm going to be drawing off of those experiences as well. When it comes to Wrath of the Lich King, Cataclysm, and all of the other ones, I will be playing it fresh starting now with various servers that are available that have all of the different expansions. Firestorm, I believe that's what it's called, has all of the expansions available, so I'm going to be looking to them to try out Cataclysm. I will be trying either Tori or Stormforge for Mist of Pandaria, and then from there, Legion, Warlords of Draenor, then Legion, Battle for Azeroth. I am not doing Shadowlands. I'm not doing that video. I'm already admitting it. I refuse to do Shadowlands. And I've already played Dragonflight when it first came out, so I have my experiences. I might buy a month just to refresh, see what they've added since they've launched the server, because I have not played it since like the first month. Then I'll draw like an actual comparison on that one when I get there. But anyway, I will see you guys in the next video. But wait, this video is not over yet. So many of you may have noticed that below the title of my video there is now a store option. Well, that's because I've opened up a Teespring, and slowly but surely I am adding merch to this shop. Mostly World of Warcraft related, but I'm also making various t-shirts with designs of all of the servers that you know and love. I've already made a Azeroth at War shirt, and soon I'll be coming out with many more, granted if the servers give me permission. I am looking right now to make a Project Epoch shirt. So, for all of the people who are excited and hyped about Project Epoch, if I can get that going, I will have a t-shirt so you can show your support for the server. All of my personal designs, those will of course go to me, but any of the shirts that I make on the various servers, any funds I get from those shirts, I will be donating it directly to the servers themselves. Just a little way to show your appreciation for the server, donating it to the server to help them out, anything like that. So, if you have any ideas for what kind of designs you want to be on a t-shirt, on a mug, if you want other types of products available that you want to purchase, please let me know. Give me suggestions. I'm making these for you guys, so you let me know what you want. See you later.